Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to emboss on vellum. I have a watercolor rose and a coordinating envelope, and this is a very special card for one of my good friends named Paula. So let's jump into it. This is what the card will look like, and you can see that embossed envelope that coordinates. I will be using the Hello Spring by Echo Park. This is a 6x6 double-sided paper pad. This embossing folder from Doris, and here is a rose that I watercolored. You can see a previous YouTube video of mine on loose watercolor roses, and I'll show you how I did that in that video. So let's take a look at the 6x6 paper pad. It's just got some beautiful papers. I chose this one. You can see the coordinating backside, but I liked it because it had that coral colored rose in the paper, and I am going to try to see how to incorporate that into my card. I'll be using a white card base. You can see that's going to look really good with that dark background, and I'm going to use this embossing folder for some vellum. This will give you an idea of how it will mute down that dark background with a little piece of vellum. And I like the look of that, so I brought over some of this clear vellum, and I'm going to get all of these papers cut down proportionately for my card front. So let's get to that. Alright, here I'm taking a 6x6 piece of that beautiful paper, and I will cut this down to a mat that's 3 7/8 by 5 3/8. That will give me just barely a little border around the edge so that the white of my card base shows behind this dark mat. I just think that gives you a really nice look from front to back. See, this will go right here, pulling some of that white out of those other little flowers. And I can tell that that vellum will really help tone that down just a bit so that our rose stands out as well. So I'm going to cut this vellum down to 3.5 by 5 inches. I'm using a Fisker's paper trimmer here. It does a great job of cutting these down very quickly. That's how this will look on the front of our card. Alright, now one of my favorite tools, the Sizzix Texture Boutique. This is a little embossing machine, and you can't do any die cutting or anything, but it is great for embossing, especially with your smaller folders here. So I'll get my vellum lined up. Now what I'm trying to do is make sure that the happy birthday goes from edge to edge on my vellum, and you can easily see through these folders, so that makes it easy. I always leave my shims in between my plates here for my embossing. Now this typically would not move around on you if you just do this on your desk, the top of your desk, but I have a little glass mat behind this grid mat, and it kind of moves a little bit, but ordinarily that would not. So look at the beautiful dimension you get here. Alright, so let's get our card put together. Sorry, my grid's a little cattywampus, but you see I line up my cards so that I can get my mat as straight as possible on my card front, and that grid mat really does help me with this alignment. I just love this paper. I love the dark paper so much. Okay, now here is my vellum. You see how this is going to really mute that dark background, but then I have a border around the edge to pull that darkness out, and I think this is going to look fantastic. So one of the things I like to do when working with vellum is I will bring over an old paper box, and I just line that with some sheets out of the catalog so I can periodically just throw those away and add more sheets. I give it a light spray with a spray adhesive. This is Elmer's craft glue right here, and I hope you can see on the video that sheen, that is the adhesive. Just fully coated the back of this vellum. So the reason I like to do that is because it's very hard to glue vellum down. You could use some of that double-sided adhesive in the wide rolls, and that would work as well. But I just like using a liquid adhesive, and then I just take my paper and go around all the edges and the corners, and that will give you full adhesion right onto your mat, and you cannot tell where it's adhered. Now I just took a little bit of foam tape to add to the back of my rose for just a little more dimension. It doesn't add very much, but between the embossed vellum and this little bit of foam tape behind my rose gives you just a tad more interest to the front of the card. And that is it for that front of the card. I think it turned out beautifully. I wanted to get up close here so you could see the happy birthday. The next thing I'm going to do is make a coordinating lined envelope. Now I do this with no special measurements, nothing tricky, no dies. You can do this in just a few minutes, and it is so well worth it. So I just look at my card width and height, and I determine what size of paper I need for the inside of my card. In this case, it's 5.5 by 6. Now my paper, the scrap is already 5.5 inches wide, so all I need to do is cut it down to 6 inches. And I want that just to go up to the tip of my flap on my envelope. If it's a little below, that's perfect. Now the main thing is to line this up from side to side, making sure you have an even distance there from each end. And when you do, you just make sure your paper is all the way down in the bottom. Turn your flap over, give it a little crease, bring over a pencil, draw a little diagonal line, fold it without creasing it now, and then take your scissors and just cut to the inside of that pencil mark. That will leave enough room for your gum line so that when you're ready to seal this card, your gum line is not covered up by your liner paper. Now you can see I take the point of that flap and just look at the point down below. I use a little bit of liquid adhesive, and then I will just close the top flap over that and adhere my liner. And that's it. That's how easy it is to make a coordinating lined envelope. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I would love to have you as a subscriber, and I thank all of my previous subscribers for coming by and visiting. This was a quick little card to make, and I hope you won't be intimidated by making some of your own lined envelopes. And I hope you'll come back and see me again next week. So glad to have you drop by, and happy crafting, everyone.